Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new type of history in and around Warren County video. As you can see, or not see, I am not standing in front of you in some form of Warren County historical site. I am speaking to you through a voiceover, and there will be a set of images for you, and this will be a form of the videos we'll take for a small while, and it's mostly due to I had a good conversation recently with a person from the Warren County Heritage and Genealogy. I forget exactly. Somebody from the local historical society who spoke to me and was like, essentially told me, yeah, you need to get permission, and there needs to be some permitting for you to be able to go onto these historical sites and do some filming and talk about them. And so while I figure that out, our videos will be taking this form for now. And we, today, will be going on a little bit of a historical timeline of Warren County from its founding. A little bit about Joseph Warren, our founder, who, by the way, never lived here, never lived in Warren County, is rather just our namesake. But we will be learning a bit about the Warren County through the various historical eras. And we'll start today, everyone. Welcome to Warren County, New Jersey, a place with a history that stretches back thousands of years. Today we're going to trace that story from the first people who lived along the Delaware River to the founding of the county in the 1820s and into the modern day. Before European settlement, long before there was a Warren County, this land was home to indigenous peoples such as the Moravians and the Lenape and other Indian peoples that lived around this area, who thrived in the Delaware River Valley. Archaeological finds in the region show that people lived here for thousands of years, hunting, fishing, and farming along the river and in the fertile valley soils. The Lenape, also known as the Delaware people, were the last indigenous nation to live here before European colonization. We now move from before European settlement into European settlement with the colonial settlement from the 1600s to the 1700s. By the late 1600s, Europeans began arriving in northwestern New Jersey. Obviously, it's around in the 1600s. I don't have the exact date in my head right now, but it's around the 1600s that Jamestown is founded, and you start to see obviously a trend of settlements being made along the Old 13 of the East Coast. Dutch, Swedish, and later English settlers carved small farms and villages out of the forests. Mills and forges sprang up along streams, laying the groundwork for early industry. The corner of New Jersey was the frontier, remote, wooded, and rugged, but rich in iron ore and water power. Those resources would fuel the small ironworks and grist mills, such as one Asbury grist mill, and grist mills that dotted the county by the mid-1700s. Now, obviously, after we've gotten settled and whatnot, we get into the more well-known, more relevant to us, the Revolutionary War period, which has a lot to do with Warren County. There's a lot of local history to do with the Revolutionary War. However, just a small tidbit. In my conversation with the woman from the Historical Society, she was from Oxford. She is associated with the ship and manor there. And in my conversation with her, I had an interesting part of the conversation was that there exists no direct evidence that the Oxford forge was used to make cannonballs. As of right now, it is not known whether or not the Oxford forge was used to make cannonballs for George Washington's armies and the Continental armies and whatnot. Apparently, based on what I was told, in order to save Ship and Manor many, many years ago, some maybe half-truths were told in order to basically try and save Ship and Manor. And so, as well as the Oxford Forge and the various historical sites in Oxford. And so, in an effort to do that, perhaps a little bit of half-truth was told in saying that the cannonballs were sent to the Continental Army. There is no direct evidence of that, but there's always discoveries in the future. But when the Revolutionary War broke out, Northwest New Jersey played a quiet but important role. Local militia organized in the villages, and supplies moved through the Delaware Valley. The county itself is named after Dr. Joseph Warren, one of the Revolution's early leaders. Warren gave his life at the Battle of Bunker Hill in 1775, becoming one of the war's first martyrs. He never lived here, but nearly 50 years later, when this part of New Jersey needed a name for a new county, legislators chose his in tribute. Speaking of when this county needed a name, the founding of Warren County took place on November 20th, 1824. Warren County was officially carved out of neighboring Sussex County. The county government first met the following year. Its earliest townships were Greenwich, Independence, Knowlton, Mansfield, Oxford, and the now vanished Picryl. Belvidere was chosen as the county seat, and another small. Now this, I have zero evidence for this. This is a story my uncle told me, so take this with a grain of salt. But I was told that if you have ever heard of Johnsonburg, New Jersey, which is a small town situated in between Hackettstown, Blairstown, and Hope, there is a small town by the name of Johnsonburg, which is very old, and according to my uncle, was at one point a competitor for the county seat of Warren County, but apparently the guy from Belvidere had money behind him, and so he became the name, and that became the site. Belvidere was chosen as the county seat, and in 1826, the Courthouse was built, a building that still stands today as a National Register landmark. I can verify this. The courthouse is most certainly down there, and it is a very nice courthouse. From the very beginning, Belvidere became the hub of political and civic life, as makes sense, being a county seat. From there, we move into the 1800s, the mid-1800s. You have, obviously, the Industrial Revolution begins to take place, and we see a great amount of industrial growth and transportation take place in Warren County. The mid-19th century brought major changes. First came the Morris Canal, which I have done a video on the Breadlock Park, which is a part of the Morris Canal. A massive engineering project that ran across northern New Jersey. In Warren County, it linked communities to eastern markets, moving coal, iron, and farm produce. Later, the arrival of the railroads made transport even faster, and towns like Phillipsburg grew into industrial centers. Throughout the county, mills, quarries, and foundries thrived. If you look at an atlas from the 1850s or 1870s, you'll see a web of small industries scattered across nearly every township. By the late 1800s, so the late 19th to the early 20th century, Industrial Revolution has come here and is here to stay. By the late 1800s, Warren County was firmly established. Agriculture remained strong, with dairy and grain farms feeding the region, while towns kept growing around industry and railroads. Belvidere continued to serve as the county's civic center, with its courthouse square and preserved architecture giving the town a distinct historic character. The county also produced figures of statewide importance, while local newspapers and societies recorded everyday life. These decades left us many of the historic buildings and landmarks still visible today, which you can come down and see at Belvidere's Victorian Days, which has recently passed, but they do in every September, the Labor Day, the Saturday before Labor Day. They do it in September. But it is a day dedicated to the Victorian history of Belvidere, New Jersey, and there's events, and I went this past year, and it was a wonderful event, and there was all kinds of, what am I thinking? The market stalls and all sorts of, obviously the very beautiful Victorian architecture, which is still present in a lot of the homes in this town. We move now into the mid to late 20th century, so we have left the 19th century. We're no longer in the 1800s. We are now in, I guess you would call, somewhat recent history, in that right now we stand in the year 2025, so 125 years ago is 1900. And so, like much of America, Warren County changed dramatically in the 20th century. The canal era ended, rail traffic declined, and industries consolidated or closed. At the same time, highways brought easier travel and suburban growth reached parts of the county. But rural character remained, farming continued, and preservation efforts grew. The Warren County Historical Society in Belvidere and local museums took on the task of protecting the county's heritage, which I must commend a great many of the various historical societies around Warren County for their preservation efforts, both the historical preservations as well as if you do any sort of traveling in and around Warren County, you will see various. They're getting less and less nowadays with the prevalence of warehouses, but you will occasionally see signs along the side of the road, mostly in our back roads, of big signs that say preserved farmland or protected farmland, something along those lines. And they are those pieces of land are designated specifically for farming and whatnot. And so Warren County has maintained its small town rural heritage even into the modern day. Which, speaking of which, is our very next historical era, because mid to the late 20th century leads directly into the present day. Today, Warren County blends the old and the new. Historic towns like Belvidere and Phillipsburg preserve their heritage, while rural landscapes, farms, and natural preserves connect us to the county's past. Heritage tourism, historic house tours, and the celebration of the county's bicentennial in 2024 and 2025 all remind us that this community has deep roots. In 2 centuries, Warren County has grown from a frontier outpost to a county of more than 100,000 people, still carrying the name of a revolutionary hero who never set foot here, but whose sacrifice symbolized the ideals of freedom and independence. Now, just to conclude here, Warren County's story is one of resilience, adaptation, and community. From indigenous homelands to colonial frontier to a county proud of its historic towns and natural beauty. By remembering this history, we can better appreciate the place we call home. Hello everyone, thank you for listening to the end of my latest video, which you'll notice is a re-upload, as I need to issue a slight apology for my last video, which included a photo which I do not have the rights to, and is owned by the Warren County Historical and, the Warren County Cultural and Heritage Affairs Board. And I then recently had a conversation with a representative from them, who is Gina Roslin from Ship and Manor, who spoke to me in regards to my videos and possibly doing a future one at Ship and Manor. I went on a private tour of the manor house, and which was very cool, and that will definitely be a future video. But she issued me, let me know about that, so I took that photo down. And I also have some corrections to make as far as the previous audio, in that Oxford Furnace was not a forge, and they definitely have 2 different functions and are 2 completely separate things. Furnaces being used for the removal of impurities from metal, while forges are, your usual blacksmith shop, all the way up to more industrial forges. And the Warren County, I just out bulletin, Warren County Cultural and Heritage Affairs and Warren County Historical and Genealogical Society are 2 separate things. The Warren County Cultural and Heritage Affairs, I believe, is a government organization. They work with the county, so they're municipal government, possibly. I'm not 100% sure about that. But their Warren County Historical and Genealogical is a private entity and not county affiliated. So that would, Warren County Cultural and Heritage Affairs is county affiliated. Regarding the cannonballs, it's better to say at this time, primary source materials have not been found that would prove that cannonballs were produced at the Oxford Furnace. just a further correction on my pronunciation of, I think I said Pacquarie. It's a Pacquarie, which it's a Lenape word that means the place between the mountains besides the water, which reminds me of when the Romans came and asked the Britons, what is the name of this river? And they named it Avon, which was their name for river. And yeah, so I guess that's not just didn't happen, just happened over there. The legislation was approved for the creation of Warren County on the 11th of November, 1824, but wasn't enacted until the freeholders met the following May in 1825. The bicentennial is indeed in 2025. Last thing, the preserved farmland signs are from the Warren County Cultural and Heritage Affairs, and are for land preservation and preserved farmland so it cannot be developed, which is a large part of what keeps Warren County looking so rural and such a gorgeous area in which to live. So thank you again for listening to my video, and hopefully you will be there to see my next video on the Lenape peoples, and the one a good bit in the future, which I will end up doing at Shipman Manor. Thank you very much, and like, subscribe, all that.